How's it going, Bennett?
Good, man. How are you?
Good, 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 good. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. Heard a lot about you.
But do you know what he does?
All good things. Don't worry. Don't worry.
Yeah, for context, Rashab, we're working with Bennett on content, and he's been building a lot of things. And right around the corner, I think you guys are looking at raising with Google Labs, right?
Yep. Yep. Doing that and looking to get into actually we heard back from Google. They told us we were trying to get into the AI Futures Fund with the DeepMind, like access to DeepMind. And they hit me back after I applied to it. They were like, we're interested. Like basically made it to the second round, I guess. And then they told us I sent a bunch of stuff about our business. And we aren't a SaaS, so I think that's probably why they were like, we didn't choose you to like fund you, but they gave us a bunch of options to like get free Gemini resources and stuff from them. So we'll see what happens with it. I had no expectations going into it because we're an agency and we build automations for people and customize them to their needs. And I'm trying to change that because it's limited our scalability to just do ecom and assist with the ad side of that, as well as like customer service automation up to like 90%. It's pretty insane what you can do nowadays. And then kind of productize that into almost SaaS like product, but we're not there yet in terms of the AI agents being able to connect API keys by themselves and basically integrate the whole automation into their business without a human, without our team to do it for them.
I can
But
see Rashab's face right now. He's concentrating. He's locked in. He's like, Bennett, what do you do?
he's dialed.
Jack, you know me so well now. This is so funny. Yeah.
You know, some people are very expressive. Some people are not so much. Like I look at Zach and I'm like, I have no idea what Zach's thinking about. He could be thinking about his run later today. But you, it's like, yeah, I can see a little bit of what you're thinking. But yeah,
It
Bennett,
is.
what is it that you do? Like what in like a short form? Because
Yeah.
it's somewhere
So
between an agency and SaaS, right?
correct. It's a weird middle ground. I feel like not too many automation agencies have gotten to this point yet, and it's probably because they are okay with doing whatever comes across their plate to build automations for. Now, the reason we're here is because the last 12 months we've been building automations for anyone who came into my pipeline because the content started performing really well, and then suddenly we had a bunch of opportunities to build automations for companies, but all of these were custom projects, different auditing processes, different consulting, different tool stacks, different niches, different industries. And ultimately that just made it way harder for us to one, delegate work because it's a new process and we have to know how to do it to tell developers how to do it. So that limited us from being able to grow. So we're done with that and we're honing it in on e-commerce. And when we came across the Foreplay API, I was like, this is insane. There's a lot of stuff we can do with this. And we've essentially made it a part of our product. And we're going to be pitching this. We kind of just went live with the offer in the last week. So we already have a couple of clients that are using the 90% customer service automation that has a mini rag in it. So it's like, has a chat interface. It'll respond to clients email with like questions they have with FAQs that are in the database, and then it'll obviously raise any major concerns to a human if the customer is super angry, if it detects there's some type of fraud going on, this is their third refund, it'll put that in a Slack channel and get someone on the team to work with it. So that's what we have live now, and I'm looking to integrate the new creative ad specialist role with the Foreplay API into our offer. So I'm going to be rolling that out as soon as possible. And yeah, it's kind of where we're at the moment.
It's
That's sick.
yeah, it's
Jack
really
and
cool.
Zach, is that what you guys wanted? Is this like the type of innovation that you were hoping for off of the API?
I mean, I actually think that my success criteria for the API was like very multi-pronged. So like the whole idea with it is that like we didn't have it like eliminated our like target ICP, like, and kind of like open it up like very broadly. And so one, it's been going like very, very well. And it's also like a really interesting thing where now our API, I think, is going to be one of like the sort of thing where like features come into Foreplay via API before they come into like the Foreplay product, just because like the speed in which you can do that. And so in a nice way, it is one of these products where it's not like completely disconnected. And it's like as the API gets better, like core Foreplay is going to be getting better as well. And so I'm like really happy about that. But like, I mean, I would say like this use case was like, yes, this is going to serve our current like client ICP really, really well. But the stuff that I'm also very excited for is like data partnerships, which we're working on like a few of them right now that are like very large. And so all of it is just like taking us like one step closer to kind of like the larger vision, which is like every single piece of advertising that exists in the world could, be inside of Foreplay, from like connected TV to like billboards and like everything. And so, yeah, I think this is like a really great spot to have like a good monetization sort of mechanism on the data that then allows us to justify going to collect our data. So
Bennett, do you think that companies like Zax should have APIs for companies like yours? Like, I guess where my head goes is like this system of their companies like Zax, where they like do all the connectivity, they have all of the primitives that are the right primitives, and then companies like yours do the here's how we configure companies like this to serve you, Mr. or Madam brand. Is that like roughly how you think the future will look? Like it will look more like that, where it's like agents then uh like need to go to these effectively SaaS tools that can be called upon more easily, and then there's like there's like an agent layer. How do you imagine this sort of evolving over time?
I heard APIs were actually not a huge percentage of like internet traffic in general in terms of data. And I think APIs are super important. I think like allowing something like the Foreplay API to exist creates a ton of possibilities with, for one, automations you can use and productize and incorporate into people's businesses. So that itself is like a sandbox of opportunities. I also think web agents are going to get better. Like not many people are using them the way that I think they will be used in the future. And I'm talking about like agent mode on chat and then things like Manus, where that don't actually require APIs, but could still go on Foreplay and do all the same stuff. Like maybe it's not where it's gonna be, but I think that's probably where a lot of the focus will be, because the automatic connection of APIs essentially operates the same way that a web agent would work. So whether it's, an agent doing that for you behind the scenes or actually going on Foreplay and doing the work that you need done with a prompt, that's kind of the same end result. So whichever one it takes place, it'll be interesting to see.
Do you think so? Like I would have thought that the operating speed, does not converge. Because like ultimately, if you actually need to do like a CSS render and you need to paginate and all these other things, like you're limited by technology at some point,
Yeah.
at high scale, right? If Zach hits the point at which all of the ads are on Foreplay, I don't think you want Manus going and paginating through.
Right. Definitely not the way it's at right now. So it would have to get, like, we'll see what happens with the web agent type of thing. So I don't know which way it's going to go. I really don't. But I do right now. I leverage APIs way more than any of the other stuff. So that's why I'm huge on what's going on. And I think like every company like yours should have an API that the public can use, because I can make videos about it. Like there's so much more to it that I think you guys like there's so much more that could come out of it from what was probably initially planned. Like the unlimited creation of different workflows and creative roles, or getting data from ads. Like there's so much you can do with it. So and then that gives me stuff to make content about, which is huge for Foreplay, for us, for our clients. Like I love it. And so right now I'm like all in on the API game, but I don't want to forget about obviously the web agent side of things, because I do think that'll get better, and eventually they'll be like operating on your machine probably without you even realizing it. as well. So it'll be similar.
That's amazing. What was the reason why you think this is a service and not a SaaS company?
My company?
Just yeah.
Because it still requires humans to onboard clients every time. So like I think software as a service as a core, like what I initially think of it is like you buy a subscription and you kind of can use the tool to do whatever you need, usually without the assistance of another person setting it up for you. Now, I understand that's like the enterprise package of a lot of SaaS companies, but there's nothing that we can offer right now. Like we could do it like a do-it-yourself type thing, and they would be able to get the automation and set it up themselves. But most people don't know how to do that, nor do they want to. And so like the e-commerce region is a lot easier to convince to use things like automation because their demographic is a lot younger. And when we do have these sales calls, like they want to try this AI stuff. They don't have time to look into any of this. So that's why it's like important for us to go in, implement the workflow. It's not like as seamless as I would like it to be for either agents to handle like the actual onboarding process and getting the workflow, with all their credentials connected and like their emails and their Shopify, all that stuff. So that's what's not automatic right now.
It's interesting though, because you were saying just a moment ago, you're able to achieve 90% automation rate on customer support stuff. Is that right? Okay. So
Yeah.
I don't think there are any tools, SaaS tools, as you're describing it, that can achieve that level of automation because of the fact that like by what happens with the SaaS tool, and I actually saw some good dialogue on this on Twitter the other day. Somebody who I know and respect who owns some brands was talking about how a SaaS company had made a change that he felt was ridiculous, basically. But the problem is when you're building for 100 people or 1,000 people or 10,000 people at once, it's actually very hard to know what the right thing to do is in each of these cases because you're trying to basically build for the mean. And when you do that, you can't actually build the best possible solutions. So it's interesting because I know you're talking about like wanting to move towards SaaS, but the reality is I'm curious what everybody else thinks about this, but from my perspective, I don't know that a pure SaaS could ever get you the same level of impact or like the same depth of ability to solve some problems that you can get by actually like having a more custom implementation of something.
Mm-hmm.
Who was it that was talking about averages and losing precision in averages? I just want to pull up that tweet.
He wasn't talking about that explicitly. Here, let me send it to you. It was Sam Mendelsohn. He was talking about how, what was it? Yeah, I'll just drop it in here. And I totally, to be clear, I understand where he's coming from. Like, you're hoping that your email provider in this context is like doing the research and making sure that the changes they're making make sense. But I also know, being on the other side of this, the reality is like when we built reports for our merchants, there are 3 different ways that we seriously considered of how to show reports that actually render very different data. Because there is no like right way to do this. And if I talk to merchants, most of them will fall into one of those 3 different ways, but I can't get everybody to agree on the right way of rendering this information, right? And so it's like, it becomes very challenging to actually solve these problems at scale. And the reality is that somebody going and building their own custom implementation of something is often going to give them what they want in a way that a pure software offering can't.
Yeah, Bennett, what would you describe Salesforce as?
Salesforce, I would just say, is a CRM with a bunch of integrations. So,
Sorry, but is it a SaaS or a service?
Probably more of a SaaS. What do you think?
Dude, I think we're gonna hear lots of different opinions on this pod, which I think makes it somewhat interesting. Zach, is it fair to say that you love like product purity Is it fair to say that? I feel like you give me
Yeah,
that
but
energy.
I definitely like acknowledge the fact of like other business models. Like
Totally. Yeah.
I would
Totally.
just prefer to not have
Build it.
people managing customers coming in for software purely because as a software consumer, I fucking hate it.
Yeah,
When we
exactly.
moved over to HubSpot, I was like, this is the most expensive thing on our software line item now, and I fucking hate it. Like, and like that's also the truth, is that these things are also always the most expensive. I just like, I don't like the idea that like your speed of implementation or direction is like impacted by like the CS team of this tool. Like, so like I don't like it as a consumer, and so like I can't imagine myself like building that.
Mm-hmm.
This is the beauty of your API, though, in my opinion. Like it enables you to do both in theory. I mean, I'm sure
Yeah.
there's a lot
I mean,
more.
no, like if at the end of the day, I've always liked integrations. Whenever I used a software and it didn't have a Zapier integration, I was annoyed. If the Zapier integration was crap, I was annoyed because there would always be this offshot like use case where I was like, I just wanted this one little thing, you know? And I didn't, and I wasn't the kind of person that was, I think because I've built software, I mean, it's always funny seeing like what requests you get from customers. And like the idea that that would be a whole feature in a software, it's just like, okay, dude, like, sure. Like, but like, you know, like I as like a consumer of software and like a lover of software, I just like things to be tools in its perfect form. But like I wouldn't say like if you guys have agents running that you can onboard people to in 24 hours, like that's software. The question is like defining it as a SaaS and then potentially asking for a SaaS multiple comes down to your like your billing model, your gross profit margin, and like potentially how much IP exists in a thing that no one else can use, which like potentially that's where you guys don't have a ton right now, and where then it's potentially more of an agency, but like you could say productized agency, or like there's a bunch of other buzzwords, like what is it, like AI uh like powered something, you know, like it's
Yeah.
there's gonna be like a new version of like businesses, right? Like
Yeah. I like it. And it's starting, like, I think we're one of the earlier people to get into it from like what's now possible with agents. And I like the way I see things is like in the next year or two, automation will be automated. And so I know there's probably hundreds of people racing for the completion of a project that would do this, a platform that builds the back end and the front end, lovable, bold. Like they're not doing it the way that like I think it needs to be done. And like anyone will be able to create anything with a full back end and like full complete web app with the prompt. The prompt will automatically be enhanced. It'll know what they want and it'll give them exactly what they want. Automation's built in, whole layer of exactly what they need, all the tools that they need to use. Like the whole stack will be implemented, or it'll do it itself without the need for other tools. And that's like going to change our whole industry because right now we build automations for companies that need help. And when that becomes automated, it comes down to who's the best sales guy at this point, who can consult the best and use the software and multiply their output 1,000 times by reaching out to all these businesses and using this and leveraging this new tool that comes out to get all of this done, because it'll essentially be like a go high level white label, but it'll do everything that they need, not just, you know, some crappy voice agents. And you know, go high level is great, it's great, but like there's going to be something that kills it. And I think, you know, we're in a winner take all world, so I'm anticipating the release of this. I've already started talking to all of our students about it, about how like they need to maybe stop thinking about the technical side so much and going down that whole path of, you know, learning the whole automation game. They need to understand a few solutions that are practical and actually make businesses money, and understand how to talk about them, understand concepts like retrieval augmented generation and API keys in general, like nothing too crazy, voice agent stuff. And then when this switch happens in the next 6 to 12 months, they'll be ready to go and hit the ground running and be some of the first people to grab up as many clients in whatever niche they're targeting and use the software that's going to come out. And I'm super excited for that phase because that enables anyone with a brain on their shoulders to go get active, because you're no longer limited by anything technically related. So it's just going to be who's going to have the excuses and who's going to go do it. And I'm ready for that. I'm super excited.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, dude. I mean, I think like for what little it's worth, I don't think you should worry too much about whether you're a service or a SaaS. You know, like and you should just like keep selling the service and then make the software better and better, and then in the meantime, call yourself whatever you want to call yourself. Because like Palantir, like was effectively like very similar to what you are, in like how they deployed and things like that, and then all of a sudden they have SaaS margins, and so who cares? So yeah, I think like that's like generally why I just like don't know anymore. I also think that like some of the fastest growing there's only two flavors of extremely fast growing companies right now. One is like the pure play, like sell to the prosumer, like level whatever. And then the other one is like a heavy implementation, Madam or Mr. Enterprise, sign up for like whatever, 200K a month, 200K a year to $1 million a year over time. And those companies also grow super fast, like heavy implementation, and everything else in between is like growing at like, you know, the Stone Age rates of like SaaS, you know, the good old triple, double, like no longer attractive rates in the venture funded world, or in the bootstrapped world. It's like whatever, between 50 and 100% year on year, right? Like the capital deployment sort of invokes the growth rate. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot to be learned from that sort of like how the market is playing out, basically. Yeah.
Did you bring up Palantir on purpose?
Why?
Because Bennett has this. I'm not sure if you saw it.
No, dude, I didn't know who Bennett was until like 10 minutes ago.
Okay, it goes quite deep, but yeah, I thought maybe you were referencing this.
No, dude, we're just simpatico from like the past 20 minutes.
Yeah, we're on the same page.
I
Yeah.
think Zach's point on like the way that you make money is a really important point. Like going back to what Rashab said and what Zach said. Like if you get predictable revenue and really high revenue retention, that matters more than like whether it's a self-serve product or requires some sort of implementation. So yeah.
Yeah. Why are you trying to raise money, dude?
I wasn't. I wanted to see what they said. I had no expectations, but they reached out. I was surprised they reached back out to me. So when they did, I was just gonna like, I'm gonna do it. Why not say something? But yeah, I had zero expectations. But I did like kind of want to see what the Google people thought about what we were doing. And I also wanted access to like the latest and greatest Gemini stuff, because getting that stuff for free is obviously super helpful, and having Google Cloud tokens to play around with is fun. Because we have all of our automation clients like locally hosted on a VPS, so we're paying all that stuff, and that'll ultimately be like what allows us to scale from an infrastructure perspective. But yeah, I just wanted to see what they said.
Bennett, did I hear this right? You reached out to Google. They reached out to you. They said, we're interested. And you went, oh, by the way, guys, we're an agency. And they were like, we're less interested.
Kind of. I told them exactly what like what we're attempting to achieve, because the tech will be there one day. Like we're an agency right now that has like leverages AI. Eventually we won't need any people to get these people's automation going. Now, if that being said, the e-com people may be able to do it themselves. They might also think about that. So, but it's like we need to go grab as many clients as possible. So when that comes, they don't want to take, like, if they have to go figure it out and do it themselves, their business has to stop running, and that's not going to happen. Once the automation's up, it's up, and if they need to like change something, like, it's going to break their whole process. But eventually everyone will be able to build exactly what they need for automations. But
Nice.
I wouldn't be
Why
so
e-
confident in the switching power of an e-commerce owner.
yeah,
I would say that they're the most willing people in the entire world to do that.
interesting.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
What was that?
Why did you pick ecom? One of the topics we discussed for the last couple episodes has been that
Mhm.
kind of on the lines of ecom being a sinking ship. Now I have kind
Really?
of I'm not sure. I don't think it is, but maybe,
Yeah. If I think it's just going to change. I think the way e-com is done is going to change significantly, but I don't know as much as you guys know about e-com in general, probably, but I do know like this AEO stuff is coming. Shopify's integrating with chat. That's going to change the way, all of our data is on chat. They know every context about my life. If I'm going to look up certain things and it's going to suggest products, it has the context it needs to recommend me anything. If your product is ranking well on AI or generative engine, it'll show up. And so that's going to be a huge new path of opportunity for people selling products. Also, the Google Gemini search showing up on that when people search it. I don't know exactly what it is right now that ranks you perfectly. So that's what I'm here to figure out and eventually create an automation that will optimize your business for you. I want that to be a part of our offer as well. And so these are all things that are like brand new that like people have no idea like it's even coming and it's how big of a change it's going to make. But I am very interested to hear why you think e-com is a sinking ship.
That's such a good point. I feel like if ChatGPT had sent me a message and said, "Dude, you need these red light glasses," I would have bought some by now. But because it
Yeah.
hasn't, I haven't bought them yet. Right?
Exactly.
It's I think it's interesting though, because I sometimes, like, one of the things that's been happening to me lately, because I use ChatGPT a lot for like thinking through strategy things, even, and just like a bunch of different stuff. And so you give it context, and then eventually that context becomes outdated. And if you don't update the context, the results that you get and the output ends up being not as good. And so I do think that's an interesting thing. Like, I actually question the more I use it, the more I question how useful it's going to be for things like shopping recommendations, because it doesn't actually understand the whole of my life, right? Like, if it was fully integrated into my phone and my laptop, maybe. But even then, there's things that happen. There's so much context in my life that exists outside of those two places. I still don't know that it actually gives me, like, it's probably better than what Meta has right now, right? But maybe not actually, because Meta is so deeply embedded into all these websites and all this different stuff. So it's actually an interesting, I actually am less bullish on that now than I was maybe 6 months ago.
I think Meta has significantly more data on who we are as human beings than ChatGPT. And for the reason is that, like, the way that Meta collects data is like passively through our emotional triggers and like signals, versus ChatGPT. I go to it with like a problem and it's something that I'm wanting to solve, and like the reason why Meta can scale a business so well is because they're able to put things in front of you that you didn't think that you needed, versus like, and like all of the context around that, versus like chat. Like, if chat recommended me a bunch of stuff right now, it'd be probably a bunch of stuff I don't really want, like 100%. Especially when talking about like consumer stuff. Like, you could probably be really great at recommending me like maybe some tools and things like that, but consumer stuff, like, very, very limited.
Yeah.
Dude, that's
Does
what we
Google
need,
win
man. We
this
need some
race?
B2B ads. Dude, let's get hyped for B2B ads. Like, you know what I mean?
True.
Like, fuck B2C. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I'm with you. Actually, I think chat could be better than like LinkedIn for. I mean, I think LinkedIn is like the place to go for B2B ads, and I think it kind of sucks. I think ChatGPT would be way better.
Yeah. I feel like Google wins this race, right? They're embedded in everyone's phones. It's not just one app that you use recreationally. It's everything. If you use an Android phone, it's like literally everything that you do. So I don't
but
understand
Google
how.
doesn't have any taste. They haven't released a good product in many years, and like all of their loved products were acquisitions. So like the way that Google could potentially win this is to buy products that were founded by people with taste, because like to make something work for consumer, like even if you compare Gemini user experience to like ChatGPT user experience, it's like significantly worse, which is just like mind blowing of like a concept. But like I don't see where Google makes the product that like becomes the thing that is in everyone's lives. Like, but it also might because I mean maybe if you're like an Android user or something, then you have a completely different experience. But
Like me.
yeah, like
I
I mean,
think I think
do you love
Meta.
like the Android experience? Like do you have like emotional connections to it?
No, I don't. Like it's utility. Like, but for me, it's always that is all about utility. Like I don't actually care about my phone experience. I just need it to do the basic things that I need. Like I have no emotional connection to it.
I mean, we all know that's not true. You see that green bubble, you're fucking lighting up. You're like, let's go green bubble.
He doesn't see the
I
green bubble.
do, I do like having the thing that annoys other people. Yes, that's fun.
Green text.
Can't remember the last time I sent a text. I have both, and I prefer the Pixel to the iPhone. The iPhone has a better camera, but the Pixel's such a better phone, like in all ways. Like it does Shazam all the time. If you're sitting in a restaurant and a song comes on that you like, and it's some obscure song, it'll just tell you on the home screen of your phone. You don't even have to touch it, and you can tap a little button to save it. It's incredible. But like iPhones, it just feels a bit like old. Like it doesn't have those features, right? But it has a really nice camera, and it feels good in your hand.
I mean, yeah, I who are getting distracted here, but like the most recent launch, like I still get so excited for like Apple launches and knowing that I'll be like disappointed. Like Apple also hasn't really launched a good product in like a very long time.
That is
So
true.
Yeah.
Okay, why, Zach? I'm curious because I think you're much more in tune with us than I am. Like, what do you think that is in both cases, both Google and Apple?
because the CEO was the former head of operations. Like, do you know why Tim Cook got the CEO role? This was his biggest win was when he joined. Apple used to have like a world-class manufacturing to distribution timeline. Okay, it was like roughly 30 days. So from the moment an iPhone was, manufactured to the moment it was in a person's hand was 30 days, and that was like world class. Okay, when Tim Cook joined Apple, he got that down to 3 days, which is like insane. Like the idea that like an iPhone comes off, so it's like this guy is an incredible operator, but the idea that that same person would be able to properly direct like new innovation in product is like it couldn't be more like misaligned. And so like I think in the absence of like Steve Jobs, like I don't really see how Apple can release.
Yeah, I think there are two.
New CEO. Like,
Yeah, I think there are two types of people in this world: those who operate well in the constrained possible, and those who operate well in the unconstrained possible. And like Tim Cook is a constrained possible operator. It's like because you can't go anything less than like 0. You know what I mean? It's like it's at 30 days now. The best I can do is 0. How close can I get to 0? I can operate in the constrained possible. Whereas like, what do we do? You know, that's like an unconstrained possible. And I don't like those two humans are not the same. They don't spend their time the same way. They don't wake up the same way. They don't think the same way.
you can even see
And
it
like,
in the way that keynotes have evolved, right? So like they went from keynotes that had issues and but like also had like a lot of allure and like love to them of just like people demoing products on stage. So now these like
to recordings.
heavily like produced recordings where they're talking about sustainability for fucking half of the time, but it's like the iPhone is still just like a bigger top, and it's like, okay, a nicer camera, and it's like they could have done like amazing things. They had the most cash in the entire world, right? And like, but I don't think that there's like any innovation at the company. I mean, like the only thing that they've come out with like in the last 5 years that is incredible is like the M chips in like the MacBook Pros. Like getting away from Intel was an incredible innovation, and it like made that product like insanely better. But we've seen like no innovation in form factor. Like the biggest like swing was the Vision Pro, which I bought, and it was horrible.
Dude, you know what actually impresses the heck out of me? I don't know if you guys, I mean, obviously everybody's seen the display Ray-Ban thing that Meta announced, but they announced something else, which is the Oakley, the Meta Oakleys with the mic and the camera on the nose piece. Did you guys see this?
Yeah, they're incredible.
You got them?
Dude, the Oakleys, this is like, I don't know how more people are not talking about this, but in 40-mile-an-hour wind, like literally while you're skiing, you can have a conversation, the other person can't hear the wind.
That's crazy.
Because of what they've done with the mic. And the camera, because it's in the center instead of on the sides, it's actually field of view. Instead of sort of like a sort of weird field of view. Dude, I'm gonna buy these glasses, even though they're gonna look crazy. Yeah. Like to wear basically like, Oakley ski glasses essentially around, because like, and this is like, I think Zuck is like operating in the unconstrained world where he's just like, fuck it, I want to be able to take calls while I'm skiing. And it's like, dude, that's great. That's great. Like I want more of that energy in my life. Even though the demos, like none of them worked in the keynote.
The demo was horrible.
You know what I mean?
And this is another example that like they, in that case, like Facebook, which I would say is like another company that like has lost taste over time. In like a lot of the hardware, they've now outsourced the taste to brand. So it's like doing it with Oakley and doing it with Ray-Ban means that the products are things that people actually want, and you can have product association. Like, there's nothing cool about having Meta glasses, but if you just wear Ray-Bans, which is like the most recognized glass in the entire world, it's like, oh, you've now like shortened the gap of consideration for someone that maybe didn't know if they wanted smart glasses. Like no one wants smart glasses. They just want sunglasses.
Isn't that a smart idea though? When you talk about like a,
I think it's
Meta
great.
software business, right? Like they're probably never going to be as good at the product development as a Ray-Ban or Oakley.
No, I think it's great. I mean, but Apple could have done that as well. Like Apple has like a brand allure to it, like they have like really good like design sort of like ethos and like history.
It's interesting because even the thing you highlighted as a big improvement, the chips, I would say that falls into the constrained world, right? Like it's an improvement on something that already exists. It's not actually inventing something new.
Do you think like they haven't made any good products because of like planned obsolescence, or do you think they're truly just like out of ideas?
I mean, like the number one objective of that company now is like shareholder value. And so like I do think that if they had like a real reason to build something innovative that they think could have the same level of penetration as iPhone or AirPods, they would certainly build it. And like, I mean, the other like weird thing about like iPhone is that they have so much market share, right? And it's like the people that are not buying iPhones are like Jeremiah, where it's like, I just want to piss people off or whatever, by like sending like the green bubble. So it's like, well, how much more market share could iPhone like get? Like I still don't think there's a lot of people being like, oh, because like the new iPhone isn't crazy innovative, now I'm going to Android. Like I don't like there maybe some of that behavior exists, but I don't think a lot of it. So it's like I think they're just like very comfortable, you know?
Been using it for years. Why would you just switch it up?
Well,
yeah, and they
I
don't
mean,
need
if
to,
they,
right?
dude, I think, well, I mean, I think they lose it if in the next year they don't get, if the AI is still shitty and everything else is amazing. Like Meta's AI is amazing, ChatGPT is amazing, Android's AI is amazing. Like, I think at some point people get fed up and are like, this is like,
Mhm.
this is insane. Like, I cannot believe I'm using a phone that can't understand what I'm saying. Like that moment will happen. Just like, you know how like kids like go to screens and like try to touch them, and it's like if you can't touch it, it's like, this is insane. Like, why can't I touch the screen? Right?
But can they be
Um,
model agnostic, just like how Meta are outsourcing taste and design to these different brands, like Oakley and Ray-Ban? Can Apple take the approach of, well, we're just not going to do it. We're going to let everyone else do it?
They already are. They're just an Amazon Web Service wrapper. That's all their AI infrastructure right now. They're so behind. I'm not sure if they planned this or they're going to get into the game late, but right now all of their stuff is through Amazon. And a lot of companies are just Amazon wrappers if you really think about it. But Apple doesn't have their own data centers, and they need to do that because that's where it's all moving. We saw the Oracle deal done this week with NVIDIA and Chat or OpenAI. They're all just funneling cash into each other and hyperinflating the AI market already. And Apple's gonna get involved at some point. I just don't know when it's gonna be, but it'll be interesting.
Bennett, what's your hope for your, like, let's talk about SaaS again for a few
Yeah.
minutes, but what's your hope for where the business goes?
Yeah, I want this imaginary software that's coming out to come out, and then that'll really like ground me, and I think we'll be able to run up and grab as many e-com clients as possible. I don't think
What kind of clients do you work with today?
right we've just done a little bit of everything. We were focusing home service, so like roofers, electricians, flooring. We've done a bunch of custom builds for just random stuff at this point, like med clinic. We've done voice agent systems for restaurants, like that kind of stuff. But I'm just tired of it not being uniform, and I really want to be able to get some ads running and just target one ICP and just start building for one group of people, being able to delegate that to the devs. But the growth of it and the transition into not like relying. Am I cutting out?
No, you're good, man.
Okay, yeah. Not relying on the dev team is where like I want to see it go, because at that point I will just be able to run, do sales calls, have my sales guys close, and then fulfillment's already there with the agents, and they just fill in the information they need to, and that is just way easier for them. And
What's
so
what's
you
the
go.
gap right now that doesn't let you do that? Like you're saying that there's this new software. Like eventually we're going to get to the point where all of that can be basically agent building can be automated. But I'm curious, like what the gap is now, and like what is there a? You seem very confident that will happen, but is there a chance? Like what would have to be true for that to not happen? I think would be another.
For that to not happen, I think agents would have to stop right where they are right now. All like LLM development, all any agentic type of development would need to stop, and we make zero progress from where we are right now. The way I see it, there's like we're still in fetus mode. Like these things haven't even been born yet to what they're gonna be able to do. I mean, we're looking 5 years down the road. There's gonna be AI agents and robots in your house. It's just the same. It's gonna be the same tech, and they're already starting to develop all of this stuff, and so I already know where it's gonna go. I know what they're gonna be capable of. And it just, I'm laughing at it right now because I'm trying to work with the infrastructure that we have available with like N8N. And these aren't even real agents. They're not truly agentic yet. And like actually able to use tools autonomously. And they just come to me and ask me what I need them to do. Like that's not happening yet. And that will happen eventually. And I'll be able to treat them like actual employees. And so when that happens, like if that were to not happen, we'd have to stop right now where
But
we
like,
are. More
if
development.
it's true, do you then just not have a business?
I think it'll go on for some time and before the actual damage is done. We're gonna have a threshold of like people still hating it and not wanting to incorporate it, and it's gonna be like a fire. Like it can't spread to the whole world at once. Like people are still gonna want to buy from people. Business is gonna run for a little while, but then it's going to get really weird. That's why I think the 2030s are going to be super interesting. And I'm not like, I'm not a doom and gloom type of person, but I agree with what Zach's saying. Like, there will be a point where I think money becomes like kind of irrelevant because everyone has the machines they need doing what they need for the most part. Like, we're going to have autonomous beings in our houses for the most part. If you don't have them, then you just hate it. And there's going to be a large amount of people who hate this stuff and try to preserve, you know, the old way of life. And it's going to be a continuous battle. So that'll be very interesting to see play out. That's why I'm like, I know what's coming, and I don't think a lot of people know what's coming. And so I'm just like, I'm going to start riding the leverage and like using more like fear to make people realize like this is around the corner. And people like the thoughts like Zach's having, like your business just wouldn't exist because everyone's gonna be able to do everything they need to do. But then no business would exist. You know what I mean? Like it'll be.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying that I don't think like there's like certain like laws to like the world in which like maybe they can be challenged, but like usually aren't broken, right?
Yeah.
So it's like in the same way that you were like talking about like Apple using like planned obsolescence and stuff, like there is like a level of like, in a way, like why are you building this business if you think that there's going to be like a software that can like fulfill it for someone without engaging with the developer?
Because these people still aren't. I could still reach these people and do it for them, and use the software to do it.
But you're saying like the software just does it.
Yeah, it'll do it.
Right. But like,
People
like,
still won't know how to use it.
That software not just acquire the customers directly. Like, why would that software just not acquire the customers directly if it doesn't require any setup?
Because I'm gonna use that software and white label it at a massive scale, essentially.
But like, what I'm saying is like, why would you be able to get to that customer before like let's call it like the parent company that was going to have like all of the funding and all of the brand recognition? Like,
yeah,
I don't really understand. Like the reason why like HubSpot implementation specialists like exist is because like HubSpot needs to be implemented. But if what you're saying is that there's going to be no implementation and it just does it, then like why?
Because a lot of people are already claiming to do that. We got Base 44, we got Bold, we got Lovable. They're all clones of each other and they don't truly do that. But when one does truly do that, there's still going to be a lot of skepticism. I still think people are not like super eager about any type of change in their business. And so it's going to take convincing from people to actually use this kind of stuff, regardless of how easy it is and how good the marketing it is. It's still like people are very stuck in their ways. I see people like my dad, still the majority of business owners, people over 40, they don't want to get involved with this stuff. They don't care. My dad's still using manual spreadsheets. Like, and like, I know I'm talking about ecom, but like right now I'm talking about like the whole market as a whole. And I know it's going to take, we're going to be called agent operators or AI transition partners. Either term is what I would call it. And we're going to leverage this software and be the voice, the human that convinces you to use a software like this. And there's going to be a lot of ways to profit doing that, because it's not going to be an overnight change like it might sound like it's going to be, because this software is just truly amazing. Like there's a lot of truly amazing softwares out there. A lot of people aren't using them still. So
I like the Luddite angle. I think it's interesting. I think there's another type of person who won't adopt as quickly as maybe they should. But like, you know, if you're the only person selling water in a desert, you can command a pretty high price. Competitors come in, and the marginal price is going to drop, right? There are alternatives available. But still people will, not drink water, and they'll drink tap water that they know is worse. And then there's a market for better water, right? Or information, right? We're super abundant in information, right? Information is basically free, and the mechanisms for getting that information to you have revolutionized so much, right? We had Wikipedia, we had Google, but now we have, LLMs that get that information to you in a consumable format, right? That tailor the way the information is presented to you at lightning speed in a way that is better for you to consume. And even though that exists, there are still people who can't do very basic things because they're over-consuming content that isn't adaptive, right? That super abundance is right in front of them, but they're not using it, right?
I do think there's always going to be opportunities on the margin. Like even, Bennett, what you're saying, and I don't think you disagree with this, by the way, with what you're saying, but even if what you're saying is true, there's always going to be some opportunity. And I even think about like the way that I engage with an LLM. Like the first time you experience something like ChatGPT, it feels incredible. Like it feels like it's so so unlike anything you've experienced before.
Mhm.
And then you use it a little bit, and it gets to the point of like you see all the annoying things, you see the things that you don't like, that you start to imagine a world in which it could be better, and then a new model comes out, and it's the same sort of thing. You're like, oh wow, this is incredible, and then a week later, like actually this isn't that great. There's a few things I dislike, right? And so there's always going to be opportunity on that margin to keep pushing things forward. I think regardless of what becomes available, broadly speaking.
Mhm.
Yeah, like I find ChatGPT, I'm always using the most advanced aspects of it, optimizing the way I try to get information out and do analysis and all that kind of stuff. And I constantly find myself being annoyed with it ultimately. Just I think just indicative of like what it will actually feel like for us humans working with machines.
100%. And I think LLMs are still pretty terrible right now. They're pretty garbage.
I think it's interesting, right? I'm not sure if you guys disconnected for a second there, but on this superabundance angle, you've got people like Stuart with Revo, and he's a developer, but he's not writing most of his code, right? He's fully there in the trenches, using to the maximum extent the full extent of this abundance, right? But there's still people out there who are going to have a massive team of devs and do things the Luddite way, either because it's the way that they've always done things and they need an AI transition partner, or because they're over-consuming other stuff, right? Their head and their attention is somewhere else and not in transitioning to this like fountain of abundance in the things that they need, right? So I think that there's going to be demand, right? People are going to have their head in the sand, whether it's willingly they want to run away from development and progression, or it's because they're just paying attention to the wrong things.
Yeah. And there's also going to be a lot of companies promising the same thing. So by the time this one comes out, oh, we've heard this 20 times now. We thought it was going to be Lovable. We thought it was going to be Google Opal. We thought it was Bolt. We thought it was Replit. They're all just wrappers at the end of the day and just a little bit more advanced. And so everyone's probably tired of that shit by the time something like this comes out. And they're like, okay, yeah, what is it this time? And so that'll also, like, for the people who even follow the AI news, there will be skepticism always, because everyone's claiming the most in all of their marketing, and these companies do jump up. Like, Lovable did 100 million in the first 9-10 months. So like, I think the company that does it the right way will probably touch $1 billion in a year if it's truly different from the other ones that everyone's promising for app creation or whatever, whoever's going to take all the marbles. And so there's still going to be a lot of opportunity for implementation in other people's businesses, regardless of like if people don't have time to even play around with Bolt, Lovable, all that stuff. So, there's always going to be a role for someone to do that stuff for other businesses. So that's kind of like where our whole angle is and opportunity is going to be. And I want to be able to be ready when that happens, because we got to switch, because NNN will eventually like kind of become irrelevant at that time. Not like exactly, like people are probably still going to use it because of the comfort it provides. But I probably won't need to use it ever again, when this platform comes out. And so we got to teach the new people how to make money with it. And so that's like what my main focus is on doing, because we run the info side too, because we have the agency and then I do the mentorship. And so both of them are very, very important to like run simultaneously.
So real quick, so this platform comes out.
Mm-hmm.
6 months later, won't there just be a better one that comes out that everybody switches to again?
Probably, see, like stuff like that could always happen, or it could continuously get better and better. So that's why there's so much noise. And I think ultimately that noise is going to cause people to be skeptical and not jump into it, trying out a new platform when it does come out. But we know how good it's going to be, because we'll go through and break it and use it as much as possible. And then, okay, we know this is the real deal. We'll make it our core. Like, we're going to teach everyone how to use this and how to make as much money and get in and make as much change as fast as possible. And that's kind of the mentality.
I think that's such a good point though, Jeremiah, because, part of what you said was everyone's going to jump to the next one, right? But everyone is actually like 0.0001% of people. Because like most people are, I've spoken to people recently that are like, oh yeah, I've never used ChatGPT, right? And they're scared of AI. They're skeptical of AI, whatever it happens to be. Skepticism is kind of the, that's the best case scenario when they've actually tried a few things and they're disheartened, right?
And at this point, if you actually keep up with it, it's something new every day. Like every single day, there's something new out there. So it's like, I agree with you. Like it's gonna be hard to like make some noise unless you're actually the real deal, and then people will check you out. But even then, it's still 0.1% of the total addressable market.
All right. We're losing hosts. People are dropping off like flies. It was good to have you, Bennett.
Yeah,
This was
great
fun.
to meet you, Bennett. Thanks for
Nice
having
meeting you, Jeremiah. Nice meeting you, Zach.
Talk to you
Take
guys.
care, boys.
Bye.
Take it easy.